Hi everyone, it's Miss Sote. So I know a few of you are still struggling to understand why we switch the signs when we're finding either our x-intercepts in factored form or when we're finding the x value of our vertex in vertex form. So I made this video to help explain that a little bit more. If you want to write these notes along with me, you can grab a blank sheet of paper, you can make a blank Google Doc, or if you have room somewhere on your parabola notes, you can add it there. I also am going to attach the Jamboard that I'm going to work on to Google Classroom. So if you just want to have that as a reference, that works too. But it probably makes sense to have it somewhere that you can access it in your own handwriting. So let's get started. And let's talk about factored form first. So remember, factored form helps us find our x-intercepts. And if we look at this example, f of x equals x minus 2 times x plus 3, our two x-intercepts are the negative 2 becomes a positive 2, and the positive 3 becomes a negative 3. And remember, factored form looks like f of x equals a times x minus p times x minus q. So in this first case, we stayed with the negative sign, so we didn't have to change anything. We just copied the 2 down. Here it went from a negative to a plus sign, and this is the same thing as x minus negative 3. So now this is in the same form as here, and we've got a negative 3. But if that still doesn't make sense, let's talk about it mathematically. So the first case we're going to do is what happens if we don't switch the signs? So what if we kept that as a negative 2? So then we'll have negative 2 here, negative 2 here. I just switched my x values in my equation with a negative 2. And remember, this is supposed to help us find our x-intercepts. So our y values should be 0. But let's see if that actually happens. So negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. So now this statement is saying 0 equals negative 4, which makes no sense. 0 is not negative 4, it's 0. So if we don't switch the signs, we're making no sense. We just said that 0 equals negative 4. So that is why we have to switch the signs. There's a few explanations I provided, but this one is like a mathematical reason why we have to switch the signs. And let's just double check what happens when we do switch the signs. So if we do switch the signs, we're going to have 0 here again because it's our x-intercept. I'll use the other point this time. So x was a positive 3. Now it's a negative 3. And we'll get negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Negative 5 times 0 is 0. So now I have the statement 0 equals 0, which does make sense. You could have chosen negative 3 here. You could have chosen 2 here. If I put the 2 here, then I'll get 2 minus 2, which is 0, and then we'll have 0 times something. But I just wanted to kind of write out why we have to switch the signs in order to find our x-intercepts. So that's why this becomes a positive 2 and this becomes a negative 3. So hopefully that helps a little bit. We're going to do something super similar with vertex form. So here I have f of x equals 2x plus 1 squared minus 3. Again, when we were dealing with our x value, the original way to write vertex form is f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So let's compare it. Our a is 2. We've got an x. This is supposed to be a minus, but here it's a plus 1. So that's why we change it to negative 1. Here we've got a plus k, but now it's a minus 3. So we just copy that minus 3 down. And we're really going to focus on that negative 1, how it changed from a plus to a minus. So if we had not switched the signs, if we had just kept it as a 1, let's replace all of our x's in the equation with a 1. And then our y value is supposed to be -3, because regardless of the math, if you graph this equation, this is going to be your vertex. So -3 should be our y value. And now let's simplify a little. We'll get -3 equals 2 times 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4 minus 3. Now we have -3. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So again, we didn't switch the signs and we run into this error where we're saying -3 equals 5. That makes no sense. So let's check what happens when we do switch the signs. So if we did correctly change this to a -1, this is -3 no matter what. Now we'll solve. We get -3 equals 2 times -1 plus 1 is 0. 0 squared is still just 0. Now we get -3 equals 2 times 0, just 0. So we end up with 0 minus 3, which is -3, which does make sense. So hopefully these two examples kind of helped you see the role that we have to play when we switch the signs in our equation. However you want to think about it is fine with me. I just wanted to provide a few different explanations for why that made sense. Hope this helped. If you're still confused, schedule office hours with me or email me and we can try and make sense of this. Have a good day.